Hey guys, welcome to my first tutorial type video that I'm doing for Warhammer Online Return of Reckoning. It's the private server for Warhammer Age of Reckoning, a PvP MMO that shut down several years ago but is back up on the private server that is free to play. So come join us. The first video I'm going to make is about the different classes in Warhammer. So unlike some other MMOs out there where you have maybe 6 different classes like a DPS, a melee, a range, caster, tank. There are 24 classes in Warhammer Online and 12 per side. So I think what we're going to do is kind of go through each race, explain a little bit about each class, and that way anyone coming to the game who is kind of lost and doesn't know really where to start will be able to watch this video, maybe get a little helping hand finding the class that suits them, and you can understand it a little bit better. So unlike World of Warcraft, for example, where there are mirrors on each side, a rogue is a rogue, regardless of if it's Alliance or the Horde. Here, they're more spiritual mirrors. So each class is unique, and some get unique abilities the other side does not get. So, for example, Order will have a ranged knockdown on the Bright Wizard and the Shadow Warrior, where Destra doesn't get it. But Destruction will get a pull ability that Order doesn't really have a real mirror of. So things like that, let's get right into it. So let's start off with the Dwarves. So there are 4 basic archetypes in this game. There are healers, tanks, melee DPS, and ranged DPS. So for the first class for Dwarves is the Ironbreaker. So this is a tank class. You can go either two-handed weapon for more DPS or sword and shield. They have guard, they have some health regenerating abilities. They're a really good tank class. You can help your allies debuff AoE snare. Really solid tank. If you want to stay alive or if you want to have more utility and help out your group, it's a great class to start out as. Really, really strong. Probably the tankiest tank on Order side. All right. Then we have the ranged DPS class for Dwarves. This is an engineer, so it's a ranged physical attacker, kind of like a hunter from WoW. They get guns, they get turrets they can put down, little pets that they can gain buffs from. They have some group utility, they have dots, they have extra range. They're kind of like a mixed bag range caster. They don't have the highest burst, but if you want to have utility like a pull for your enemies, a keg that you can put down to heal your allies, it's a great class, and they've actually gotten a lot of buffs in this game, so they are quite good. Next, we have the physical DPS for Dwarves, the Slayer. So, as you can see, they can go dual wield axes or two-handed great weapon. They are an amazing bursting class. They can do some of the highest damage, both single target and AoE in the game. But their mechanic is very, very squishy. So, unless they have a guard and a healer, they will be an easy target to kill, but with support, they're probably the strongest DPS class in the game. So a lot of really good abilities. They have a charge, they have a self-heal with their physical weapons, a lot of other really, really good abilities. I think they also have a self-res on a tactic. They're a good class. And then the final one is the healer type. So the Rune Priest, this is probably more of the pure healer class. If you ever played a cleric or if you ever played a druid, they're just a basic healer. They have some hots. They have some runes they can put down on the ground to give their allies more AP or health. Single target heals. They have a self-res they can put on themselves or an ally. They have buffs for their team for extra strength or intelligence. They have a res ability. Just the basic pure MMO type healer. Really good. They have a stagger. They're just like a lot of really good abilities. Kind of the middle ground healer. If you played a healer in any other game, you'll be very comfortable with this. All right, let's move on, guys. Next, we have Empire. So again, you have the 4 different kind of archetypes: the melee, the ranged, the healer, and the tank. So let's start off with the tank again. Knight of the Blazing Sun. Again, you can go sword and shield, or you can go two-handed great weapon. For more DPS or more defense. They have auras that they can buff their team with for extra stats or resist or debuffing the enemy with their offensive auras. Kind of the middle tank, the kind of the middle ground tank. They do good damage with their great weapon, good defense, but they're kind of the all-around tank for Order side. always handy in a group. No one is upset when you have a knight. They also have an AoE stagger, which stuns the enemy for 3 seconds unless it's broken by damage. So really good tank class. If you're kind of unsure if you want to be the more defensive type or offensive type, it's a good middle ground. We have the Bright Wizard, which I kind of main on my character. He's a Bright Wizard around rank 81, almost 82. It's a magical caster. Unlike the Engineer, they use spell and magic damage instead of physical. Their mechanic is the higher they get to 100 combustion, from 1 to 100, the more damage they do. But they also take damage from it. So it's a class that needs healers or you're going to blow yourself up. But if you have healers, or like a pocket healer or a group healer keeping you up, you can push out some of the best burst damage in the game. So really good class. They are squishy. They are not a soloing class, but again, a pure caster, similar to a mage in WoW. Then we have the physical DPS, Witch Hunter. So they have a sword and a gun. They have a few range type attacks, but not too many. They are one of the only stealth class on Order side, so they have a 30-second stealth ability that they can add. There's only 2 in the game, the Witch Hunter and the Witch Elf. They are a physical DPS. They have some immunity spells to magic damage and physical attacks, but they're all about the solo kill, kind of going into the enemy team, stealthing, getting on a healer, getting on a caster, and just burning them down. They have a 3-second stun. Their goal, if you have 1 or 2 of these guys on you, you are going to burn. And lastly, the Warrior Priest. The Warrior Priest is the healing class for Empire. They can either go hammer and book for pure heals. They can go hammer and shield for melee heals, or they can go two-handed grape weapon for melee DPS heals. So they become kind of an offensive healer. So they're the best group healer on Order side. They have a group cleanse. They have an armor buff. They have kind of like chants they can put up on their team. They can get a health buff for their allies. They wear medium robes instead of light robes like the Rune Priest. So they're definitely the tankiest healer on Order side. And they can actually be a pretty good DPS if they go that spec. All right. And finally, we have everyone's favorite, the Elves. So the Elves, again, you got the 4, starting off with the... Where did we start off last time? The White Lion. So we have the White Lion, that's the melee DPS for Elves. They have a 2-handed great axe, as you can see here. They can summon a pet, a lion, to run around with them. They have a pounce ability to jump to your enemies. They're probably the hardest hitting melee on Order side. Because of that big weapon, it's not unusual to have them pounce on you and just pull you down and kill you almost instantly. With their pet, they can also get a fetch ability to kind of pull you in closer. Really, really good class. Again, probably the best melee DPS all around on Order side, in my opinion. What do we have next? We have the tank, Swordmaster. So again, they're probably the most offensively DPS tank on Order side. They get a 2-handed great weapon or sword and shield. They get a self-heal for them in their groups. They're kind of like their 2-handed spec does the most damage, but as sword and shield, they're probably not the best defensive tank on Order side. They have a kind of a 1-2-3 mechanic where they have to build up a combos and then spend it. What do we have left? We have the ranged DPS class, Shadow Warrior. So that's a physical DPS class. They have their bow, or they can go a melee spec. So they have 3 different kind of lines. One where they're a pure ranged archer, one where they're a mobile archer, or one where they're a pure melee class where they can have a teleport to the enemy and just rip them apart. Really good. They have a ranged knockdown. They have a heal debuff. They have so many good spells. Maybe not the highest burst ranged, but definitely have a ton of great utility. Probably the best kiter on Order side. And then finally, we have... they all look the same. It's hard to remember where we're at. We have the healer, the Archmage. So, again... healing class, they wear robes. They actually have a really, really good magic damage spec. So they can go hybrid heals and magic and actually really burn you with tons of dots. They have a long silence. They have a puddle they can put on the ground that snares you. They can kind of swap back and forth between magic damage and healing. They're actually really good healers as well. Maybe not as good single target as the Rune Priest, but they have a lot of really great group utility, an instant res, a lot of really good stuff. And again, a force to be reckoned with if you go DPS. So guys, that's the order side. We'll probably split this into 2 videos and come back for the next one, which is going to be talking about destruction classes. So yeah, part 1 done, guys. I will see you shortly if you want to know about the other side of the coin, destruction. So thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. I will see you soon.